I have been married now for 20 years. Yes. Just not to the same person. In fact, I've been married to 3 people. My first husband at 24, my second husband at 27, and my third and final husband, Patrick, at 36. And I don't love this about me. Sometimes I find it very humiliating, and other times I find it very funny. So when you get married for the first time, people are really happy for you, right? And then if that marriage falls apart and you get divorced, they feel bad for you. And they rally around you. They're team you. They say things like, they didn't deserve you. You're so much better off without them. You're going to meet the right person. And then one day, you do. And you decide to get remarried. And let me tell you, people are pumped. They say things like, good for you. Yes, good for you. Good for you. Good for you. Now, if that marriage falls apart and you get divorced for a second time, they still remain team you, but they also become team maybe it's her. It is incredible to watch people's faces when they realize you've been married 3 times. Exactly 0 people have been able to hold back their initial reaction, which is almost always, oh, wow, okay. Although my favorites have been, oh, no. Yikes. And cool. Sometimes when my husband Patrick and I are meeting people for the first time, you know, when you're like auditioning friends, and it'll somehow come up, and he'll look at me and go, what? Like he doesn't know. And then I go, we'll talk about it at home. And then we just keep doing that for as long as we can, because it's an amazing way to figure out who you do not want to be friends with. And I'm so grateful that Patrick has a sense of humor around an issue that would likely, be hard for a lot of people. It takes a certain kind of person to be like, yeah, no, that's not a red flag for me at all. I totally accept this with no qualifications. In fact, one of the many beautiful things he said to me when he proposed to me was, I fully embrace your past because it's made you the woman I want to be with for the rest of my life. And I said, let's see how it goes. No, I said, thank you for truly seeing me and truly loving me. And he really does. When we went to get our marriage license at City Hall in New York City, I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's very beautiful. There's like painted murals on the walls and people getting married and angelic little flower girls. It feels like hope. So Patrick and I are in line to get our marriage license, and we're holding hands, and we're looking in each other's eyes, and we're smiling. And we get to the front of the line, and the woman behind the partition takes both of our names. And she searches Patrick's first, and she says, oof, a lot of Patrick Browns. And we all laugh. And then she searches mine, and she looks up and sort of confused and says, I'm so sorry. For some reason, this says you've been married 2 other times. I'm just going to go check the system. And I stop her and I say, actually, that's true, but it's my first Patrick Brown. See, she did not laugh. She said, I'm going to need to see documentation of both your divorces. And I said, oh, my divorce awards? Because obviously that's what I prefer to call them. I said, I didn't realize I needed them. And she said, you didn't need it last time? Oh. Yeah. She then tells me we need to go to a totally different room, a totally different building. Totally different building even. They're like, get out of here. You're not even allowed in the building. So she writes down the address on a piece of paper, and she slips it under the partition, and she looks at Patrick, and she says, good luck. Guys, these are all true stories. It's horrifying. So we finally find the other building, and let me tell you, it's a very different vibe. The ceilings are low. There's flickering fluorescent lights. There's cobwebs and bats. There's people just in hooded cloaks hunched over, not making eye contact with each other. They don't even check your ID at security. They're just like, who's humiliated? Yes, you come through. Who's hysterically crying, questioning all their life's choices? That's the third door from the left. Are you smiling? Get the fuck out of here. So we make our way through the maze of sadness, and we finally find the divorce awards room. It's bleak. It is only men, except for me, and one other very elegant woman, probably in her early 60s. So Patrick and I, once again, we're in line. This time, no hand-holding, no eye contact. We get to the front of the line, and I give my name to the gentleman, and he is so kind. He is bordering joyful, and that feels aggressive. So he searches my name, and then he looks up and sees my sweaty, green, terrified face, and I know exactly what he's thinking. He doesn't know what Patrick knows. Maybe Patrick knows about one divorce, but perhaps not two, and this joyful divorce angel is not about to ruin my life. So he says, can you tell me the name of your ex? And I give him the name. He prints out the paper, and he hands it to me, and then we just stare at each other. And I don't know why. I was paralyzed in that moment. Obviously, Patrick knew, but nobody else in that building did. And I could not bear the thought of having to give a second name. So I take the divorce award, and I begin to walk away until finally Patrick leans in and says, I think she's going to need the other one. We take the paper, we begin to leave, and the elegant woman stops me, and she puts both of her hands on my shoulders, and she looks me straight in the eye, and with great sincerity, she says, good for you. Patrick and I have now been married for 8 years, and we have 2 beautiful daughters, Louisa, who's a year and a half, and Ella, who is almost 7, and I don't know how to tell them that I've been married 3 times. And I gotta do it soon. I gotta do it before they can Google me. I don't want them searching for a video of me singing The Sound of Music or something and come across my Tony Award acceptance speech where I thank my then husband, who is not their father. A man they do not know exists, except for one time when they saw a picture of us together, asked who he was, and I said, a fan. Which he very much is not. I want to take you back a year prior, to the year 2001. This was a year, the height of my ingenuism. This was like the pinnacle of my people-pleasing. A time where my intentions were very good and my behavior was very, very bad. It was the summer of 2001. We were hanging out and having fun. Our romance had just begun in the city that never sleeps. And when I got that lower back tattoo, I was kind of surprised that you did too. That's a pretty creepy thing to do. But you were playing for keeps, and you said, marry me under the willow tree. There is no better time than when you're 21 and 23. You said, marry me. That looked expected me. And I knew right then you wouldn't take no for an answer. No. So I panicked and I said, I have cancer. And the minute I looked at you, I knew what I had to do. Tell you it wasn't true. But what kind of psychopath says I have cancer, then says, just kidding, I don't have cancer? I said, I don't want you to see me like that. Then walked around with my hair tucked under a hat. Oh God, I hated myself in seconds flat. But I thought you would rather think I was dying than think I didn't love love you, so I just kept lying. And I said, bury me under the willow tree. I'm feeling kind of tired and I could really use some privacy. I said, bury me, then went to therapy. And I asked, will I forgive myself one day? No. And she said, I mean, that's a pretty fucked up thing to say. And there isn't a day that passes by that I don't look up at the sky and dramatically yell, why? Then I saw your name on Instagram. You only had pictures of your Dodge Ram, not yourself, your friends or fam. So I had to slide into your DMs to tell you everything and try to make amends. Maybe someday we'll be friends. Then he said, LOL, you're going to hell, but sorry your name doesn't ring a bell. I said, how can that be? You don't remember me. We spent a lot of time in one another's company. He said, I'm 22 and I've never heard of you. But I guess that dude and I had the same name. And I'm glad I know this story just the same. I said, let's keep this between you and me. And he said, ha, 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 we'll see. They'll read this as your eulogy. And then he sent a tombstone emoji.